Admiral Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the Federation starship Harmony, watching the massive viewscreen display the Kepler 442 system. 3 beautiful planets orbited a bright yellow star, their surfaces showing signs of water and green vegetation. Perfect worlds for life. Yet for over 200 years, no one had heard a single signal from the system. "It doesn't make sense," Dr. So-young said, looking at her scanner readings. The xenobiologist had studied hundreds of worlds across the galaxy. "These planets should be full of life. The conditions are perfect, but we're getting nothing. No radio signals, no heat signatures, no signs of civilization at all." Captain Do-hyun crossed his arms and frowned at the display. Something felt wrong about this place. As the ship's tactical officer, he had learned to trust his instincts. Maybe something killed everything here. A plague or a war or something worse. The Federation had finally decided to investigate Kepler 442 after their deep space sensors detected strange gravitational waves coming from the system. The readings made no sense. Gravity doesn't just change on its own. Something was causing it, but they had no idea what. Admiral Hyun-woo commanded a fleet of 12 ships from 6 different alien species. The Zentari brought their advanced sensor arrays. The Mochlin provided heavy cruisers for protection. The crystalline Vorthak offered their expertise in energy detection. All the major Federation races had sent their best ships and crews to solve this mystery. "Beginning system scan," announced Lieutenant Kale, a blue-skinned Zentari at the sensor station. "All ships are maintaining formation at the edge of the system. We should have full readings in 30 minutes. But they never got those 30 minutes. The space in front of them suddenly twisted and bent like water. Reality itself seemed to ripple and fold. Then, without any warning, ships appeared out of nowhere. Not 1 or 2 ships, but dozens of them. Sleek vessels with strange, flowing designs that looked unlike anything in the Federation databases. "Unknown vessels," Captain Do-hyun shouted. "All ships raise shields. Weapons to ready status." The unknown ships moved in perfect formation, surrounding the Federation fleet in seconds. Their movements were too smooth, too fast. No ship could accelerate that quickly without turning its crew into paste. Yet these vessels danced through space like they weighed nothing at all. "Admiral," came a voice over the communication system. The speaker used perfect Federation standard, but with an accent that sounded almost human. "This is Commander Woo Jin of the Taeguk Defense Force. You are entering sovereign territory without permission. State your purpose or prepare to be escorted out." Admiral Hyun-woo felt his blood run cold. Humans? Here? That was impossible. The last human colony ship to leave Earth in this direction had been the New Sol, and that had disappeared 300 years ago. The Federation had searched for survivors but found nothing. "This is Admiral Hyun-woo of the Galactic Federation," he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "We are conducting a scientific survey of this system under standard exploration protocols. We mean no harm." "Scientific survey?" Commander Woo Jin's voice carried a hint of amusement. "Admiral, you've brought 12 military vessels to survey an empty system. That seems like overkill, don't you think?" Dr. So-young gasped as she looked at her readings. "Admiral, these ships, their energy signatures are off the charts. I've never seen anything like this. They're generating power levels that should be impossible for vessels that size." "Perhaps," Commander Woo Jin continued, "we should have a proper conversation. But first, let me show you why this system isn't as empty as you think." The unknown ships moved apart, creating a clear view of the inner system. Then something incredible happened. The space around the 3rd planet began to shimmer and fade like a mirage, disappearing. Where moments before, they had seen an empty world, now they could see massive cities covering entire continents. Orbital stations surrounded the planet like glittering jewels. Hundreds of ships moved between the stations and the planet's surface. "Cloaking technology," Captain Do-hyun whispered. "But this is beyond anything we know. They've hidden an entire civilization." "Not just one world," Commander Woo Jin said. "All 3 planets are inhabited. We've been here for 3 centuries, Admiral. We've been watching you." Admiral Hyun-woo struggled to understand what he was seeing. The Federation's best scientists said perfect system-wide cloaking was impossible. The energy requirements alone would require the output of several stars, Yet here it was right in front of them. The New Sol, he said suddenly. You're descendants of the New Sol colony ship. Very good, Admiral. Yes, we are their children and grandchildren. When our ancestors arrived here, they found something amazing. This system holds secrets that your Federation isn't ready to understand. More ships appeared around them, hundreds of them, all with the same impossible technology that bent space and time. The Federation fleet, which had seemed so powerful an hour ago, now looked like toys compared to these vessels. What do you want? Admiral Hyun-woo asked. Want? Commander Woo-jin laughed. Admiral, we already have everything we want. 3 perfect worlds, unlimited resources, and technology that makes us the strongest power in this galaxy. The question is, what do you want? Dr. So Young was studying her scanners frantically. Admiral, I'm detecting massive structures on all 3 planets, cities with populations in the billions, industrial complexes that could supply 1,000 worlds. They're not just surviving here, they're thriving. We know about your Federation, Commander Woo-jin continued. We know about your wars, your politics, your technology. We've been watching and learning for 300 years. We know more about you than you know about yourselves. Captain Do-hyun checked his tactical display. The unknown ships had them completely surrounded. Worse, his sensors couldn't get reliable readings on their weapons or shields. It was like trying to scan ghosts. If you've been here for 3 centuries, Admiral Hyun-woo said carefully, why reveal yourselves now? Because it's time, Commander Woo-jin replied. The galaxy is about to face a threat that will test every species' will to survive. Your Federation isn't ready for what's coming. But we are. The space around them began to ripple again. More ships appeared, but these were different. Massive vessels that dwarfed anything in the Federation fleet. Their hulls seemed to absorb light itself, making them look like holes in space. Return to your Federation, Admiral, Commander Woo-jin said. Tell them that the Taeguk Republic claims this system and all its worlds. Tell them that humanity has not been idle during our long absence, and tell them that if they want to survive what's coming, they'll need our help. The unknown ships began to fade from view, their cloaking systems engaging, but before they vanished completely, Commander Woo-jin spoke one last time. Oh, and Admiral, we'll be in touch very soon. The emergency session of the Federation Council had been going on for 6 hours. Representatives from 47 different species filled the great chamber on Centaurus Prime, all talking at once. The holographic display in the center showed the impossible footage from Admiral Hyun-woo's encounter at Kepler 442. This changes everything, declared Counselor Threx, his 4 arms waving in agitation. The Moclan warrior had fought in 3 galactic wars, but nothing had prepared him for this. Humans with technology centuries beyond ours, hiding in plain sight. They could have conquered the galaxy years ago. We need to approach this carefully, urged Ambassador Yelnara, her crystalline body pulsing with nervous energy. The Vorthak were known for their calm logic, but even she seemed shaken. We don't know their intentions. They claim to be defensive, but their capabilities suggest otherwise. Dr. So Young sat in the human section, still struggling to process what she had witnessed. As one of only 12 humans in the entire Federation, she felt the weight of her species' reputation pressing down on her. How could she explain that humans she didn't even know existed had technology that made the Federation look primitive? Admiral Hyun-woo stood at the central podium addressing the council. What you need to understand is that these aren't just advanced humans. They've mastered physics in ways we thought impossible. They didn't just cloak their planets, they bent space around them. They didn't just appear from nowhere, they folded reality to get here. The massive view screen flickered to life. Without warning, without any of the usual security protocols, a human face appeared on the display. The man looked to be in his 40s with calm dark eyes and graying hair. He wore a simple blue uniform with unfamiliar insignia. Greetings, Federation Council, the man said in perfect standard. I am Minister Yoon-ji of the Taeguk Republic. I apologize for interrupting your session, but we need to talk. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Security officers rushed toward the display, but their efforts were useless. The transmission was coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. Every screen in the building showed the same face. "How are you doing this?" Counselor Threx demanded. "Our communication systems are isolated and encrypted." Minister Unji smiled slightly. "Counselor Threx, your encryption is based on quantum entanglement principles discovered 200 years ago. We've had quite a bit of time to work out the flaws. But please, let's not focus on the how. Let's talk about the why." Dr. So-Young leaned forward in her seat. "You're human. Are you really from the New Soul?" "My great-grandmother was on that ship, yes. Dr. So-Young, isn't it? We've been following your xenobiology research. Quite impressive work on the Keldan fungal networks." Minister Yunji's knowledge of her private research made her skin crawl. "How much did they know? What do you want from us?" Admiral Hyunwoo asked bluntly. "Want? We want you to accept reality, Admiral. The reality that the Kepler 442 system belongs to us. We were there first. We've developed it. We've defended it. And we've made it our home. We're not asking for permission. We're informing you of facts." The display changed, showing detailed maps of the 3 planets, massive cities connected by transport networks that spanned continents, orbital facilities that could build fleets of starships, industrial complexes that mined entire asteroids in days. "These are our worlds," Minister Yunji continued. "We have a population of 12 billion humans across 3 planets and 47 orbital stations. We grow enough food to feed 100 worlds. Our industrial capacity exceeds the combined output of the Federation's core systems." "Impossible," whispered Counselor Veltar, the insectoid hive representative. "No single system could support that level of development." "Counselor, your people are excellent engineers, but you're thinking in 2 dimensions. We've learned to use all 3 dimensions of space plus a few more you haven't discovered yet." The display showed massive structures that seemed to exist, partially underground and partially in space at the same time. Ambassador Yilnara spoke up, her voice tight with fear. "You're threatening us." "No, Ambassador, we're educating you, but since you seem to need a more concrete demonstration..." The transmission cut out. For a moment, the chamber was silent. Then every sensor alarm in the building started screaming. At once. "What's happening?" Counselor Threx shouted over the noise. Dr. So-Young was staring at her datapad in horror. "The moon, Centaurus Prime's moon, it's moving." The main display showed their world's natural satellite, which had orbited Centaurus Prime for billions of years. Except now it was sliding slowly to the left, following a new orbital path. The movement was perfectly controlled, as smooth as if someone was gently pushing it with their finger. "Gravitational displacement on that scale should tear the moon apart," Admiral Hyunwoo said, his voice hollow. "The tidal forces alone should shatter every planet in the system." Minister Yunji's face reappeared on the screen. "Don't worry, Admiral. We're very precise with our gravity manipulation. Your moon will settle into a new, slightly higher orbit. It will actually give you more stable tides." "You moved our moon," Counselor Threx said slowly. "You moved an entire moon just to make a point. Actually, we moved it to demonstrate restraint. If we wanted to make a dramatic point, we would have moved your planet. But that seemed unnecessarily rude for a first conversation." The chamber fell completely silent. Every representative was staring at the display, trying to process what they had just witnessed. The Federation's greatest scientists had theories about gravitational manipulation, but they were centuries away from any practical application. These humans were using it like a simple tool. "What do you really want?" Dr. So-Young asked quietly. Minister Yunji's expression grew serious. "Dr. So-Young, what we want is for the galaxy to survive what's coming. Our ancestors found something on those 3 worlds. Ancient ruins left by a species that faced a terrible enemy. That enemy destroyed an entire galactic civilization 12,000 years ago. And you think this enemy is returning?" Admiral Hyunwoo asked. "We don't think it, Admiral. We know it. Our deep space sensors detected the first signs 3 months ago. Something is coming from outside the galaxy. Something that consumes entire star systems to fuel its growth. The ancient aliens called them the Devourers. The display changed again, showing star charts of the galactic edge. Red markers indicated dead zones where stellar activity had simply stopped. The Federation has maybe 2 years before they reach the outer systems, Minister Yunji continued. Your current technology won't even slow them down. But our technology, the technology we've spent 3 centuries developing, might be enough to stop them. And in exchange for this help? Counselor Veltar asked suspiciously. In exchange, you acknowledge our sovereignty over the Kepler 442 system. You respect our territorial claims and our right to exist as an independent human. Republic, it's really quite simple. Ambassador Yilnara pulsed with angry red light. You're holding the galaxy hostage. No, Ambassador, we're offering to save it. The choice is yours. Accept our terms and gain access to technology that might preserve your civilizations. Refuse and face the Devourers with whatever weapons you have now. Minister Yunji stood up from his chair, preparing to end the transmission. You have 48 hours to decide. After that, we begin implementing our own defense plans, with or without the Federation's cooperation. Wait, Dr. So-young called out. Can we see them? The ruins you found? Minister Yunji paused. Dr. So-young, when the Council makes its decision, we'll be happy to share everything we've learned. But first, your leaders need to accept that humanity is no longer the weak species that begged for scraps at the Federation's table. The transmission ended, leaving the Council chamber in stunned silence. Outside the windows, Centaurus Prime's moon hung in its new position, a permanent reminder that the galaxy had just changed forever. Admiral Hyun-woo looked around the chamber at the frightened faces of the galaxy's most powerful leaders. Well, he said quietly, I think we need to make a very important decision. Dr. Taeho walked through the ancient ruins beneath the surface of New Busan, the capital city of the Taeguk Republic's first world. The crystalline structures around him pulsed with a soft blue light that had been glowing for 12,000 years. Even after 3 centuries of study, the ruins still held secrets that amazed him. The neural interface is ready, Doctor, said his assistant Boram, adjusting the complex headset that would let him connect directly with the alien archives. Are you sure you want to do this again? The last session left you unconscious for 3 days. Dr. Taeho nodded, settling into the chair that had been grown rather than built by the ancient aliens. The Federation Council is meeting today to decide our fate. They need to understand what we're really dealing with. The Devourers aren't just another enemy. They're something that nearly destroyed the entire universe. The ruins told an incredible story. The original inhabitants of these worlds had been called the Architects, and they had built a civilization that spanned multiple galaxies. Their technology was based on understanding the fundamental structure of reality itself. They could manipulate space, time, energy, and matter as easily as humans might use simple tools. But 12,000 years ago, something had come from the void between galaxies. The Architects called them the Devourers because they consumed everything, matter, energy, even the fabric of space-time itself. They were not alive in any sense that organic beings could understand. They were more like a cosmic virus, spreading across the universe and turning everything they touched into more of themselves. The headset activated, and Dr. Taeho's consciousness was pulled into the Architect archives. Images flooded his mind. Massive fleets of Devourer ships that looked like geometric nightmares. Entire star systems being disassembled and consumed. Billions of Architects dying as their perfect civilization crumbled. In the archive, he witnessed the final battle. The last surviving Architects had gathered all their knowledge and technology to create a weapon that could destroy the Devourers by erasing them from multiple dimensions at once. The weapon had worked, but using it had cost the Architects everything. Their civilization, their people, their entire species had been sacrificed to save the universe. Before they died, the Architects had left behind these ruins as a warning and a gift. Hidden deep beneath the surface of 3 worlds, the archives contained all their knowledge about the Devourers and the weapons needed to fight them. They had hoped that someday, another species would find the ruins and prepare for the Devourers' inevitable return. Dr. Tejo pulled himself out of the interface, his head spinning from the massive download of information. Boram, send the latest data to General Insu. He needs to know that the Devourers are moving faster than we predicted. 300 years ago, when the new Soul had crash-landed on this world, the human survivors had been desperate and dying. Half their ship's crew was already dead from the journey, and their technology was failing. Dr. Tejo's ancestor, the ship's chief engineer, had been exploring the crash site when she discovered the first entrance to the ruins. The architect's technology had saved the human colonists, but it had also changed them. Learning to use dimensional manipulation and gravity control had required generations of study. Human children grew up learning to think in ways that would have driven their ancestors insane. They developed new branches of mathematics and physics that treated space and time as malleable resources. Doctor, Boram said, looking at the latest readings from their deep space sensors. The Devourer scouts have reached the Andromeda spiral arm. At their current speed, they'll enter our galaxy within 18 months. Dr. Tejo stood up slowly, his body still adjusting to normal reality after the interface session. Then we're out of time for gentle diplomacy. Send a message to Chancellor Mireille. Tell her it's time for the demonstration. Across the galaxy, the Federation Council was still debating what to do about the Teguk Republic. Some members wanted to accept the human offer and gain access to their advanced technology. Others feared that humanity was manipulating them into a position of weakness. The debate had been going on for 2 days with no resolution. We can't just give them an entire star system, argued Councillor Veltar, his insectoid features clicking with agitation. It sets a dangerous precedent. What's to stop every advanced species from making territorial demands? What's to stop them from taking whatever they want? Countered Admiral Hyun Woo. We've seen their capabilities. If they wanted to conquer the Federation, they could do it tomorrow. Dr. So Young had been quiet during most of the debate, but now she stood up. Counselors, I've been thinking about this all wrong. We keep talking about what the humans want from us. But what if the question is what we want from them? Explain, said Ambassador Yilnara. They claim there's a threat coming that will destroy the galaxy. They say they have technology that can stop it. If that's true, then we need them more than they need us. We should be asking what we can do to help, not demanding concessions. Before anyone could respond, the chamber's communication systems activated. But this time, it wasn't Minister Yoonji's face that appeared on the screen. It was a young woman in a military uniform with general's stars on her collar. Federation Council, she said crisply. I am General Insu of the Teguk Republic Defense Force. I'm contacting you because our deep space sensors have detected something you need to see. The display changed to show a star map of the galaxy's edge. What they saw made every representative in the chamber fall silent. Entire sections of the map were going dark. Star systems that had been shining brightly for billions of years were simply disappearing. These are real-time readings from our sensor network, General Insu continued. Each dark spot represents a star system that has been completely consumed. The Devourers are moving faster than we anticipated. We estimate 18 months before they reach the first Federation worlds. This is impossible, whispered Counselor Threx. Nothing can consume a star. Counselor, the Devourers don't just consume stars. They consume the space around them, the gravitational fields, even the quantum vacuum itself. They turn everything they touch into more of themselves, and they're heading directly for the galactic core. The display zoomed in on one of the dark zones. Where a solar system should have been, there was nothing. Not empty space, but actual nothingness. A hole in reality itself. Our ancestors found ruins that belonged to the species that faced the Devourers 12,000 years ago. General Insu explained. That civilization was more advanced than the Federation or the Republic. They had technology that could manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe, and the Devourers destroyed them anyway. But you said you have weapons that can fight them, Dr. So Young said. We have weapons based on the technology that finally stopped the Devourers the last time. Dimensional disruptors that can erase matter from multiple realities at once. Gravity bombs that can collapse space-time itself. Reality anchors that can prevent the Devourers from consuming an area. The display showed massive human ships unlike anything they had seen before. These vessels looked like they were built from crystallized space itself, their hulls shifting between dimensions as they moved. The problem, General Insu continued, is that building these weapons requires resources from across the galaxy. We need rare elements that only exist in Federation space. We need manufacturing facilities on dozens of worlds. And we need every species working together because the Devourers won't stop with just one civilization. Admiral Hyunwoo leaned forward. What exactly are you proposing? A full military alliance. The Federation provides resources and manufacturing capacity. The Republic provides technology and tactical knowledge. Together, we build a defense network that can protect the entire galaxy. And if we refuse? Asked Counselor Veltar. General, Insu's expression didn't change. Then in 18 months the Federation will cease to exist, and 6 months after that so will we. The Devourers don't negotiate, Counselor. They consume everything. The chamber fell silent as the representatives absorbed what they had heard. The choice was no longer about territorial disputes or political power. It was about survival. How long do we have to decide? Ambassador Yilnara asked quietly. You don't, General Insu replied. The decision has already been made by physics and time. The only question now is whether you want to face the end of everything together or watch it happen alone. The transmission ended, leaving the Federation Council to contemplate the greatest decision in galactic history. Outside, the Iod stars continued to shine, unaware that their time might be running out. Ambassador Junho had never felt so helpless in his entire diplomatic career. As Earth's primary representative to the Federation, he was supposed to understand humanity's role in galactic politics. But now he sat in an emergency session with leaders he had never heard of, representing a human civilization that wasn't supposed to exist. Honored Chancellor, he said, addressing the woman on the view screen with as much dignity as he could manage, I must formally protest Earth's exclusion from these negotiations. The Tagook Republic may be independent, but you are still human. This affects all of humanity. Chancellor Mireille looked at him with something that might have been pity. She was younger than Junho had expected, probably in her 50s, with silver-streaked hair and eyes that seemed to hold centuries of knowledge. Ambassador Junho, with respect, Earth gave up any claim to represent humanity when it chose to remain within Federation borders. We forged our own path 3 centuries ago. The emergency session was being held in the Federation's most secure conference facility, but Junho doubted that mattered. If the Tagook Republic could move moons and hack quantum encryption, they could certainly monitor any conversation they wanted to hear. Dr. So-young sat beside him, her face pale with stress. Chancellor, surely we can work together. Earth and the Federation want the same thing you do to protect the galaxy from this threat. Do you? Chancellor Mireille asked. Because from where I sit, it looks like the Federation is more concerned with maintaining political control than preparing for a war that will determine whether life continues to exist in this galaxy. Admiral Dong-wook, the Federation's chief military strategist, leaned forward aggressively. We've been preparing for threats since long before your people emerged from hiding. Don't lecture us about defense. Admiral, Chancellor Mireille said calmly. Your most advanced warship couldn't survive 30 seconds against a single Devourer scout. Your weapons can't even damage their hulls. Your shields might as well be made of paper. What exactly have you been preparing for? The insult hit home because it was true. Junho had reviewed the classified reports on human weapons technology. Even Earth's most advanced ships were essentially flying museums compared to what the Tagook Republic had demonstrated. Perhaps, suggested Ambassador Yilnara, we should focus on what we can accomplish together rather than our past differences. Chancellor, Mireille nodded approvingly. Finally, someone speaking sense. Ambassador Yilnara, your people's crystalline technology could be adapted to our dimensional frameworks. With some modifications, Vorthak energy crystals could power our reality anchors across multiple star systems. You're talking about fundamentally changing our entire technological base, Admiral Dong-wook protested. The economic disruption alone would destroy dozens of civilizations. Admiral, in 18 months, there won't be any civilizations left to worry about, Chancellor Mireille replied. The Devourers don't care about your economic systems. They'll consume your entire species just as efficiently as they consume your currency. Junho studied the woman on the screen. She spoke with the authority of someone who had seen too much, who carried knowledge that was almost too heavy to bear. Chancellor, how do we know you're telling the truth about this threat? Ambassador, would you like to see our deep space monitoring stations? The view screen changed to show a massive structure orbiting in empty space, bristling with sensors and communication arrays. We have 47 of these scattered around the galactic edge. They've been watching for the Devourer's return for 200 years. The display showed real-time readings from the sensors. Star after star was going dark, consumed by something that moved through space like a spreading infection. The scale was impossible to comprehend. Entire solar systems being devoured in hours. The ancient architects left us detailed records, Chancellor Mireille continued. The Devourers follow predictable patterns. They always attack from the same direction, always move toward the galactic core, always consume everything in their path. The only variable is timing. Dr. So-Young was studying the sensor data with growing horror. These readings, they're not just destroying matter, they're unmaking it, reducing it to quantum foam and then consuming that too. Exactly. The Devourers don't just kill, they erase. Every trace of a civilization's existence, every atom that once made up a living world, all of it becomes part of their collective mass. Ambassador Junho felt a chill run down his spine. How many civilizations did they destroy the last time? All of them, Ambassador. Every spacefaring species in this galaxy was wiped out. The only reason life exists here now is because the architects sacrificed themselves to stop the Devourers before they could consume everything. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. This wasn't just about defending territory or protecting political systems. This was about preventing the complete extinction of all life in the galaxy. What do you need from us? Ambassador Yilnara asked quietly. Chancellor Mireille's expression softened slightly. Time, resources, and trust. We need manufacturing facilities on every major world to build the weapons that can hurt the Devourers. We need rare elements that only exist in certain star systems, and we need every species to contribute their unique knowledge to the defense effort. And in return? Admiral Dongwook asked suspiciously. In return, you get to continue existing. Admiral, this isn't a negotiation. We're not asking for payment or territory or political concessions. We're trying to save the galaxy, including the Federation. Junho leaned back in his chair, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what they were discussing. How long would this defense effort take? If we start immediately and every species contributes fully, we might have adequate defenses in place when the Devourers arrive. If there are delays or political complications, Chancellor Mireille shrugged. Well, you've seen what happens to systems that aren't defended. The view screen changed again, showing technical specifications for weapons that seemed to belong more in science fiction than reality. Dimensional artillery that could fire through multiple layers of space-time. Shield generators that could wrap entire planets in protective barriers. Gravity mines that could collapse attacking fleets into singularities. These designs are based on architect technology, Chancellor Mireille explained. We've spent 3 centuries learning to build and use them. But the Devourers are stronger now than they were 12,000 years ago. They've consumed other galaxies, grown larger and more sophisticated. We'll need every advantage we can get. Dr. So-Young was reading through the technical data with growing amazement. This technology, it's beyond anything we imagined possible. How did you learn to use it? Carefully, Dr. So-Young. And with great cost, we lost entire generations to accidents while learning to manipulate dimensional forces. Some of our early experiments collapsed parts of space-time itself. We had to evacuate 2 entire planets when reality anchors failed and created temporal loops. But you mastered it eventually, Ambassador Junho said. We learned enough to survive. Whether we've mastered it remains to be seen. The Devourers will test every capability we've developed. Admiral Dong-wook was studying tactical projections with obvious skepticism. Even with these weapons, you're talking about fighting an enemy that consumed an entire galactic civilization. Yes, Admiral, and our advantage is that we know they're coming. The architects were caught by surprise. They had to develop their weapons while under attack, while their worlds were being consumed around them. We've had 3 centuries to prepare. Chancellor Mirai stood up, preparing to end the conference. The Taeguk Republic is moving forward with or without Federation support. We've already begun construction of the primary defense installations, but our chances of success improve dramatically if every species contributes their abilities to the effort. How do we contact you with our decision? Ambassador Yilnara asked. You don't need to contact us, Ambassador. We'll know your decision, based on your actions. If Federation worlds begin converting their manufacturing to our specifications, we'll know you've chosen to fight. If not, Chancellor Mirai paused. Well, we'll make sure your final moments are quick and painless. The transmission ended, leaving the Federation representatives alone with the weight of a decision that would determine the fate of trillions of lives. Outside the conference room, the galaxy continued its ancient dance, unaware that its time might be measured in months rather than eons. Admiral Seong Hwan stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the Federation blockade spread across the entrance to the Kepler-4 system. 200 ships from 17 different species had gathered to contain the Taeguk Republic. The largest military force in Federation history, all aimed at 3 human worlds. Admiral, reported Lieutenant Yi-jun from the tactical station, Federation forces have established a complete perimeter. They're jamming all communications and scanning everything that moves. They really think they can keep us trapped in our own system. Admiral Sheng Huan smiled grimly. At 65, he was one of the youngest flag officers in the Republic Navy, promoted rapidly because of his natural understanding of dimensional warfare. He had grown up learning to think in 11 dimensions instead of the standard 3, and it gave him tactical advantages that would have seemed like magic to earlier generations. Let them scan all they want, he said. What are they seeing, Lieutenant? Nothing useful, sir. Our dimensional cloaking is holding perfectly. To their sensors, we have maybe 30 ships in the entire system. They have no idea we've been building fleets for 3 centuries. The Republic had been preparing for this moment since the first Devourer warnings were discovered in the ancient ruins. Not just preparing to fight cosmic invaders, but preparing to defend themselves against short-sighted neighbors who might try to stop them from saving the galaxy. Admiral, came a voice over the communication system. This is Fleet Admiral Krextar of the Federation Combined Fleet. You are ordered to surrender immediately and submit to Federation authority. Your territorial claims are illegal under galactic law. Admiral Sung Hwan activated the response channel. Fleet Admiral Krextar, this is Admiral Sung Hwan of the Taeguk Republic Navy. You are trespassing in sovereign space. Withdraw your forces immediately or face the consequences. The Moclan Admiral's voice carried the arrogance of someone who commanded overwhelming force. Admiral, you are outnumbered 7-1. Surrender now and we'll negotiate reasonable terms for your integration into the Federation. 7-1? Admiral Seong Hwan looked at Lieutenant Yi-jun. Did you hear that? They think they outnumber us 7-1. Yi-jun grinned. Should we show them how wrong they are, sir? I think we should. But gently, Lieutenant. We want to make a point, not start a war. The Indomitable and her sister ships began to phase out of normal space-time, using dimensional manipulation technology that the Federation couldn't even detect. They slipped through the blockade like ghosts walking through walls. One moment they were inside the Kepler-4 system, the next they were scattered throughout the Federation formation. What the hell? Fleet Admiral Krextar's transmission cut off as his sensors went completely haywire. Ships were appearing everywhere, materializing out of empty space in perfect attack positions. Federation Fleet, Admiral Sung Hwan broadcast on all channels. You are now completely surrounded. I repeat, you are surrounded. Please power down your weapons and prepare to be escorted out of our space. The reality of the situation hit the Federation commanders immediately. They had thought they were containing 30 Republic ships, but now there were hundreds of human vessels scattered throughout their formation. Worse, These ships weren't just appearing randomly. They were in perfect tactical positions to destroy the entire Federation fleet. "This is impossible," Fleet Admiral Krextar said, his voice tight with fear. "Our sensors showed nothing. How did you hide so many ships?" "Fleet Admiral, your sensors are designed to detect ships moving through normal space. Ours don't." Admiral Xionghuan paused to let that sink in. "Now, are you going to withdraw peacefully, or do we need to make our point more dramatically?" Counselor Veltar's voice came over the diplomatic channel. "Admiral Xionghuan, the Federation Council demands to speak with your government immediately. This aggression cannot be tolerated." "Counselor, what aggression? We're defending our territory against an illegal blockade, but since you want to speak with our government, let me connect you to someone with the authority to make decisions." The communication channel switched to Chancellor Mireille, broadcasting from the Republic's capital. "Counselor Veltar, I understand you have concerns about our defensive capabilities. Perhaps a demonstration would help clarify the situation." "What kind of demonstration?" the counselor asked nervously. "The kind that will help you understand why fighting us is pointless." Chancellor Mireille's image appeared on every screen in both fleets. "Admiral Xionghuan, please show our guests what happens when someone threatens our worlds." Admiral Xionghuan nodded to his tactical officer. "Lieutenant Yijun, activate the system defenses. Full demonstration mode." Space around the Kepler 442 system began to change. What had looked like empty void suddenly filled with massive structures that materialized out of dimensional storage. Defense platforms the size of small moons appeared in perfect geometric formations. Weapon arrays that could crack planets powered up with energy readings that made the Federation sensors scream warnings. But that wasn't the most impressive part. The star itself began to move. "By the void," whispered Fleet Admiral Krextar, staring at readings that made no sense. "They're moving their sun." The yellow star that had warmed the 3 Republic worlds for 3 centuries was sliding slowly to a new position, following invisible gravitational guides that bent space around it. The planets moved with it, their orbits adjusted by technology that treated stellar masses like chess pieces. "This is why fighting us is pointless," Chancellor Mireille said calmly as the Federation fleet watched an entire solar system relocate itself. "If we can move our sun, Fleet Admiral, what do you think we can do to your ships?" The demonstration wasn't just about showing off their power. By moving the star, the Republic was positioning their system in a more defensible location, closer to the galactic core where they could better protect other worlds from the coming Devourer attack. "How?" Dr. So Young asked over the communication link. "The energy requirements alone should be impossible." Dr. So Young, when you learn to manipulate 11 dimensions instead of 3, the word impossible loses most of its meaning. Chancellor Mireille replied, "The Federation thinks in terms of rockets and nuclear fusion. We think in terms of dimensional engineering and gravitational architecture." Admiral Xionghuan watched the Federation fleet's formations slowly dissolve as ship after ship began backing away from the Republic vessels. Even the most aggressive commanders could see that they were completely outmatched. "Fleet Admiral Krextar," he said gently, "I'm going to give you 30 minutes to withdraw your forces to a safe distance. After that, our automated defense systems will consider you a threat to our relocated star, and they'll take appropriate action." "What kind of action?" the Mauchline Admiral asked. "The kind that removes threats by relocating them to a different galaxy," Admiral Xionghuan replied. "Permanently." The Federation fleet began its withdrawal immediately. There was no shame in retreating from an enemy that could move stars. There was only survival. As the last Federation ship crossed back into neutral space, Lieutenant Yijun looked up from his console. "Admiral, we're receiving priority communications from 43 different Federation worlds. They all want to discuss immediate alliance agreements." Admiral Xionghuan nodded. "Patch them through to Chancellor Mireille." "And Lieutenant?" "Yes, sir." "Make sure they understand that the star relocation was the gentle option. The Devourers are coming whether the Federation wants to believe it or not. If they don't help us prepare defenses, they'll discover just how creative we can be with dimensional warfare." The Indomitable and her fleet began phasing back into their home dimension. leaving the Federation to contemplate a galaxy where humanity was no longer the junior species begging for acceptance. They were now the power that other civilizations would have to accommodate. And in the darkness between galaxies, the Devourer fleet continued its inexorable approach toward a galaxy that was finally beginning to understand the true meaning of the word survival.